well, gold's going up. Okay, central banks are buying it. We don't know why they're buying it, but they seem to be buying it. The fact that America is now in a debt trap. This is a point which is recognized by multiple central banks who've been selling dollars. They've been adjusting their currency reserves, if you like, dumping dollars, even dumping euros in return for gold. What does that tell you? They're going into gold, they're getting out of fiat. These are alarm bells, which we, which we ignore. We sort of just think in the past they have seen that if they don't exactly toe the American line, the cost of their debt goes shooting up, like interest rates go shooting up. A pump and dump, as it were, as the Chinese put it, actually.
In today's news recap, silver is in a hidden global bull market. Silver has been lagging behind gold significantly, creating uncertainty for investors looking for opportunities in precious metals. Interestingly, silver has been setting new all-time highs in several global currencies, highlighting investor interest around the globe. Whether this is related to the alleged silver suppression, currency divergences, or anything else is completely out of scope of our work. It may even be completely irrelevant to investors. What truly matters is that silver has printing a series of fresh all-time highs in currencies like the Indian rupee, Australian dollar. Moreover, in other global currencies like the Canadian dollar and euro, silver is inches away from hitting new ATH. It becomes clear that the global investor interest in silver is very strong, much stronger than the silver in USD story makes us believe. Now we'll show you the best clips of the latest interview, but first, smash the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you do not miss out our daily recaps. Enjoy the episode.
The fact that America is now in a debt trap. This is a point which is recognized by multiple central banks who've been selling dollars. They've been adjusting their currency reserves, if you like, dumping dollars, even dumping euros in return for gold. What does that tell you? They're going into gold, they're getting out of fiat. These are alarm bells, which we, which we ignore. We sort of just think, well, gold's going up. Okay, central banks are buying it. We don't know why they're buying it, but they seem to be buying it. The idea that they want to hold on to pet rocks, well, doesn't make any sense. But it does make huge sense if you understand the difference between fiat money, which is credit unattached to any value whatsoever, depending entirely on the faith in it, initially by foreigners and then eventually by the domestic users of that currency, compared with real legal money, which is internationally accepted, which is gold. So this is actually a very, very serious point we've arrived at. But getting back to the situation as far as Russia and China are concerned, they now need to protect their currencies from an impending collapse of the fiat currency system, of the dollar-based fiat currency system. And I think that's where we are. And I think that this is why this BRICS meeting in Kazan is actually so important. If Russia and China don't act soon, and this seems to me to be a pretty good opportunity, if you like, have a facility, if you like, for trade settlement and the purchase of commodities, being priced effectively in gold through rubles and through yuan. If you have that, then this is a Trojan horse, if you like, into the destruction, the ending of this fiat currency regime, which is serving nobody any good at all. Just look what's happened to the purchasing power of our currencies, since 1971. I mean, they've diminished to less than 1% of what they were then. This has done none of us any good at all. It's just allowed the political class to spend way above their resources. For what benefit? Impoverishing us all in the process. And we are actually coming towards an end of that. So from the point of view of Russia and China, I think quite clearly this could be the moment when they have to take the decision. Are we going for it or not? It's their call. So Kazan, I think, is desperately important.
In today's news recap, silver price struggles below 32 pivot. Will bulls push higher? Silver prices hovered at $31.85 on Monday, despite a strong surge in demand, particularly from the solar energy sector. The recent decline can be attributed to improved market sentiment. Investors are shifting focus away from safe haven assets due to easing concerns over a U.S. economic slowdown and optimism around China's stimulus efforts. Ongoing supply shortages are set to play a critical role in determining silver's future trajectory. According to the Silver Institute, global silver demand has outpaced supply for 3 consecutive years, with a projected deficit of 215 million ounces for 2024. This imbalance is driven by increasing industrial consumption and limited new mine production. Despite the rise in prices, production remains 62.8 million ounces below its peak in 2016. Additionally, the Bloomberg NEF report highlights that a broader shortage in key transition metals could further elevate silver prices. The report estimates a $2.1 trillion investment is required by 2050 to secure a stable supply of raw materials necessary for clean energy technologies. Without this investment, the costs of essential metals like aluminum, copper, and lithium could rise sharply by 2030. For now, the combination of rising demand and limited supply points to higher silver prices in the near future. As shortages deepen, competition for these limited resources may increase prices, especially if supply disruptions persist. Staying attuned to these market developments will be crucial for investors and industries relying on silver. This will help them navigate potential price volatility and secure long-term supply stability. Now we'll show you the best clips of the latest interview, but first, smash the subscribe button, hit the like button, and turn on notifications so you do not miss out our daily recaps.
From America's point of view, the momentum is going away from America in terms of its hegemony over the world. And this becomes a bit of an open question as to whether they might try and do something about it before the BRICS meeting. On that, we just don't know. But the other issue, of course, at the BRICS meeting will be the one which got aired in Johannesburg, but never actually made the agenda, and that was the Russians' proposal to establish a new trade settlement currency to replace the dollar. And if you're going to replace the dollar, then you've got to have something better than the dollar. And so, the thought was that this new trade settlement currency would be somehow backed by gold. There's been a lot of talk about that ever since, and a lot of it, I think, has been very, very misleading. I mean, you see proposals there was a proposal for something called the unit, for example, and that was actually, that was put together by a Russian and a Chinese guy, and you sort of think that these are appointees by Russia and China. No, they weren't. They're fund managers who sort of came up with this idea of a unit. But it was quite clear from their structure that they don't understand credit. There was absolutely no mention of credit in the new unit. And the other thing is that they try and make it sort of ultra complicated by talking about introducing CBDCs and digitalization and all Uncle Tom, blockchain and the whole sort of thing. I mean, the answer with something like this is just keep the damn thing simple, and that I think is actually what's likely to happen. Now, interestingly, Pepe Escobar, who is very well informed, wrote an article for a Russian think tank where there was this sort of throwaway line at the end, which basically said that, the idea that some sort of ruble and yuan and gold currency, will bring back sound money to replace the dollar. And that is where the conversation is now going. And I think that does make sense. It's interesting that this was for a Russian think tank, which is apparently quite close, is regarded by the US Treasury, actually, which has put it on the sanctions list, to be mouthpiece for the government, or very, very close to the government. So I think what Pepe Escobar was saying was, in effect, not being denied, if you like, by the establishment not too far away from President Putin. So that is interesting. And I think the other beauty about this is that the idea that, sort of a basket of currencies backed by gold, which is complete nonsense, gets thrown out of the window. Instead, the sensible strategy is to say, well, look, here is this new trade settlement currency. It's backed by gold. You can convert it into gold if you want, etc., etc. Use it if you wish. It's up to consenting parties. That's the way forward. And I think that's probably what China and Russia understand. But the other thing that comes out of this, I think, is very important. And that is that while Russia clearly sees the benefits of putting the ruble onto a gold standard, not least to show the contrast, if you like, between the ruble and a fiat dollar. But it would appear that China is moving in that direction as well. Now, why would this be? I think, firstly, because America is getting very belligerent, not just in the Middle East, and also, of course, in the Pacific. So this is something which the Chinese do recognize is becoming a problem. It's becoming a threat, if you like, to both Russia and China and their mutual plans. It's a threat which they can either ignore, or alternatively, quite frankly, I think America is taking on too much. I mean, I don't think they'd win against Russia. I don't think that they would ever manage to break up Russia, which, has been the stated objective for some considerable time. So I think America is on a losing wicket, not only in the Ukraine, but I think also in the Middle East.
What do you think of Alasdair's interview? Do you agree with him? Are BRICS nation going to destroy the US dollar and the American economy? Will gold rise to $5,000 in 2025? Post in the comments section your honest opinion and share with the stackers if you also hold miners in your portfolio, or if, on the contrary, you stick with the metals themselves. Thanks for watching. Now check this video right here because you'll like it. I'll see you on the other side.